Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Matt and John Mega Podcast. This is episode 65, and we got a lot to talk about. We got, due to our schedules this week, well, mainly mine,
Mainly yours.
we're going to talk a little bit of our wrestling show. Usually do it on live stream. We're going to do it here. Just a little bit of that, summarize this past week's shows, and give our predictions to AEW's next pay-per-view this evening on Saturday, Full Gear, so give our predictions and thoughts about that. As always, thoughts on this past week's NFL games, highlighted by Pittsburgh and Baltimore. But first, I'm going to get into the election, because if you've been living under a rock or a pineapple under the sea, I don't know why I went to SpongeBob there. There is election going on. Well, it was Tuesday,
or as like Joe Rogan dubbed it, the end of the world.
Part
Number
two.
Part two.
There is a lot of stuff. Votes still being tallied as we speak here on Thursday night in 9:15. And as
So what do we got?
Switch over here to the map, you're going to see the map via New York Times. So right now, as we speak, I mean, this could change by the time this airs. We don't know, maybe not. Biden's in the lead with the lead with 253 electoral votes. Trump is 214. The magic winning number is 270. In all intents and purposes, it looks like Biden will win. He has the easier path. Trump, on the other hand, even though it looks like he's out, still can win, even though would be hard to do, but it is still plausible.
He needs Pennsylvania. Like
he needs well, you know what he needs?
Right.
He needs one of these things to happen. He needs, even though he needs Pennsylvania, definitely needs Pennsylvania. And let me switch a new tab here. From 270 to win. I just kind of found this website this week, and as it stands now, as you guys can see, the states here: PA, Nevada, Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona. Even though some people call it Arizona, there was a whole thing about there could still be enough votes for Trump to win, even though states have been called. But that's like the AP or cable news channels calling it, because they look at all the data besides just the raw votes, the exit polls, and all that fun stuff to kind of call it. And Trump in his campaign administration was upset because I believe Fox News was the first one to call Arizona for Biden, which was a big flip. If because it typically votes Republican, and this would be a lot easier per se for Trump to win if he had Arizona, but still he needs definitely PA, North Carolina, and Georgia. So if go ahead.
I was gonna say it was pretty close for a while with Texas and like Florida there, which yes, you would think would just be freaking shoo-ins for Trump there, but and like just like listening you were listening on like Rogan's stream there, right?
Yes, I was listening to that. I was listening to cable news. I was watching the live results come in. I was up to 4 a.m., ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, when it comes to election, I'm wired.
That was wired, so but like the guy who was on there with him, not like Tim Dillon, but he pretty much said if Biden does or if like Trump does win Texas, Florida, and Pennsylvania, it's pretty much over. There isn't really a path for him to.
I think I came on here last podcast, and it said he needed Ohio, PA, North Carolina, and Florida, assuming Texas and Georgia. I think in Arizona
too.
Went
really
Republican. still, I'm gonna fade back here. Still, he needed those 4 battleground states regardless, or he wasn't going to win. So basically, we talk about PA. I have it checked here, and you can see here what combinations you need to see. Biden wins PA, it's over. Just there, done. Nothing else matters.
No.
But if Trump still pulls out PA, and this needs to change, there is, based on anything else, and everything else is still up in the air, there's still a possibility for a 269 tie. And that is if Georgia goes to Biden, North Carolina, Arizona, Nevada somehow go to Trump. Other than that, but if Trump wins PA, he needs 3 combinations of. He needs to win Georgia. If Trump wins PA, Georgia is very important, and it's so close. And I'll show you on a combination of North Carolina, Arizona, North Carolina, and Nevada, or Arizona and Nevada. Let's say if Biden holds on to Arizona and Nevada, he wins. PA doesn't mean anything. If Trump can flip Nevada, he has 1 combination and he needs to win PA, Georgia, North Carolina. Whereas Joe only needs to win either PA or Georgia or North Carolina. So you can see here, it's pretty much
very
odds
easy. Odds are not in the favor of Trump right now. And and speaking of that, have you did you see his press conference earlier
no
this evening? Oh boy, it did I think and I just saw bits and pieces of it, but he comes off like a very desperate and a very defeated man right now. I just think that the whole reality of the election is finally starting to hit him. Now he's claiming that the whole election was completely rigged now, which held I even saw Rick Santorum basically called him out on CNN to just this has and predictably so because I had a feeling if Trump was going to actually lose this, we could possibly see a reaction like this. And I hate it when I am actually right, but here we are.
Right. Wisconsin's already going to get a recount because it was less than 1%, so that could be an automatic recount. If we go to the key states real quick, so
was was a Michigan for Biden, or is that
Michigan went to Biden 50.5% to 47.9%.
Okay,
difference of just over 100,000 if I do quick math. So Arizona, apparently with the update that just came in 4 minutes ago, real time, from Maricopa County, where Phoenix is in. This is from, if you can see here, Alicia Parapiano, I guess from the Times. Biden's margin over Trump in Arizona is narrowed to 1.5 points from 2.4 this morning, and I don't think this is updated on my screen. So about 46,000 votes separate the two in Arizona, or at least is it in Arizona or in probably Maricopa County. Let me refresh. That's close. Georgia, when just loads. Let me just see this right now. So Maricopa 40. I don't think it's updated. So Arizona's up Biden 50.1% to 48.5. Nevada with 89% in, looks majority red, but usually the metropolitan areas of the cities, those counties usually go Democrats. So Reno is slightly Biden. Las Vegas is more so Biden. And then Nevada is close, 49.4% Biden to Trump's 48.5%, a separation of, let's do quick math, 12,000
Wow.
votes.
Gee,
And the key thing here is the next batch of votes will be around noon Eastern Friday, so yesterday. So we'll see. And the remaining votes include mail-in ballots, provisional ballots.
So we should find out who wins Nevada
We
by
would think,
tomorrow,
yeah.
or on like Friday.
Hopefully by the end of this damn week we know states and we can move on from recounts and stuff from there.
Yeah. Well, like they said on election night that it could take up until Saturday or Sunday to actually find out who won.
Yeah.
So, which I was like, oh, this is going to be a train wreck.
Yeah, and then
sure
PA, you guys can see it is 49.7% Trump to 49% Biden, a difference of about 45,000 votes, probably ish, between 40 and 50,000 votes, with
pretty
some
close,
still counting from the blue areas around Philadelphia, the mail-in votes. The interesting thing was Erie County, usually a big indicator stuff that was Trump, now is flipped back slightly to Biden with 94% in. So that's close. That's a key state, obviously a key state for Trump. North Carolina with 95% in. Trump 50%, the Biden's 48.6%, the separation of less than 100,000. And the crazy thing here is it says mail ballots postmarked by Election Day are accepted until November 12th. It's the 5th as of this recording. So we might not finalize those votes
until
next week.
Until like a week from now. Oh, God.
Georgia is pretty much done. Greater than 98% of the estimated votes reported, and this is separated by less than 3,000 votes, 2,497 to be exact, according to Maggie Astor. The Times here, a difference of 0.1%. And Georgia officials said Thursday morning that the processing of outstanding absentee ballots would continue throughout the day and into the evening as necessary. So this is going to be close. The big thing that was pushing Biden, as you can see here, is the counties around the Atlanta area. Again, cities usually go Democratic, heavily, mostly favored. Around Atlanta is heavily favored Biden. Those are pretty much done. Clayton County's 96. Athens. I'm trying to just find cities here that are blue counties. But there's some still. There's a lot. If it says greater than 98% here, it's pretty much done. So there's not a lot out there to be counted. But is what's out there enough to push Biden over Trump, however slight? That is the question. That's close. But it doesn't mean a thing if he wins PA, North Carolina, Georgia, Trump that is, if he can't pull out Nevada and or Arizona. For those asking, Alaska it's called for Trump. It usually goes Republican anyways. So again, Nevada, that's a less than a point right there, percentage-wise. Arizona, even though it was called, the gap is closing. It's, well, according to, like, what did I say here? 1.5 points, and I think Maricopa County, but just under 2% difference there. Is there 100,000 votes to help Trump and bump that up? Who knows? Nevada is closest. So we'll see. And there's still some vote out there.
Yeah.
So if he flips, and to go back just real quick, so if he flips, if Arizona stays blue, Nevada goes red, and he wins, Trump that is, everything else.
Mm-hmm.
He wins Nevada, PA, Georgia, North Carolina. He wins 274 to 264. So that would be the big. That would be like the back and forth and the comeback. in this late, that 11th hour, if you will, for Trump, that would be just crazy. But there would probably be recounts. There's already going to be a recount in Wisconsin. It's probably going to be there's already lawsuits and what have you.
He's Trump is already talking.
Side.
Trump is already talking about getting about like having the Supreme Court involved in this, and but I tell you what's gonna
2000 again.
Yep. And I'll tell you what's gonna I think end up screwing him in Pennsylvania is Philadelphia.
The mail-in votes and
yes. Because
even though the legit votes, but those late tallies are gonna That's gonna be the interesting.
And the interesting thing was on like Rogan's live stream, the guy who was on there said like that a bulk of those like mail-ins were for like Biden. So I think like if Trump if he doesn't have a very sizable lead over Biden, I think a pretty good chance that PA is going to go over to Biden.
I think it is likely. I mean, it all depends again how many went for Trump. If the thing he needed Biden needed to maintain the proportion of mail-in balance. It was like 78%, something like, obviously he was destroying Trump. He needed to maintain that proportion for the rest of the votes at one point yesterday, whatever, to win. Does he maintain that? How much does Trump win? Because I'm always see it to believe it type of thing, especially with polls, because here the average polls had Biden 51.3%,
and as we have learned that polls are absolute bullshit. Like
and Trump outperformed his polling numbers. Trump made it closer in Wisconsin. It had 50.3 to 43.9 average. It was closer. It's within less than a percent. PA had Biden 49.4 to Trump's 45.7. I don't think it's going to be that big of a gap. I think it's going to be just a sneak. Ohio had a tie, and that was 53.3% to 45.2 to Trump, with still some votes, but still. Iowa had average Biden winning, but Trump wanted 53.1 to 44.9. Arizona had Trump by like 0.6%, and that's where obviously in the margin of error, but Biden is up right now 50.1 to 48.5. So like I was skeptical with these battleground states polling anyways.
I think that should be everyone's mindset going forward with this polling, is like you can't really take them seriously because if we recall back in 2016, like pretty much all of the key states were for like Hillary, right? And then
Wisconsin, Michigan were for Clinton, but Trump ultimately won those, even though he squeaked them out. He still won, or at the very least they were closer. A lot of people had Hillary walking away with the election, and ultimately that's not what happened. And there's a whole thing with just how you poll. There was one poll group that I might have a Republican bias, but predicted he was like the only person to predict Trump was going to win last year, and ended up right. He predicted he was going to win this year, or at least I think win PA this year, which still could. Doesn't look likely right now.
No.
There's this whole thing and just how you what's the methodology of voting. Here's another update from Arizona. The all-important Maricopa County here will post his next report Friday at 11 a.m. So just over 12 hours from now, this recording, officials say they have 204,000 more early ballots to process and a smaller number of provisional and other ballots. So, depending on how those go, I mean, it's still 100,000 votes in there, and there's other counties that still need to be counted. Is it going to be Is it going to be enough? We don't know. Like, I'm
Hard to
constantly.
say. Yeah, like it's all so close, but I'm hoping by this weekend that we'll get some pretty good clarity on some states. But as you said, we're probably are going to be getting some like
No,
recounts
it
too.
might not be finalized this week.
Yeah,
Might know,
unfortunately.
but maybe get a good idea. I don't know. From this point, as of now, as of Thursday at 9:34 p.m.,
It's
it
very
looks like
much.
Biden will be the next president of the United States come in
Yeah.
January. We'll
Yeah,
see.
that's kind of what I'm expecting. I'm more interested to see how Trump is going to handle all this because up until this point hasn't handled it very well. So
Right.
we'll see. But now let's get on to some get on to some fun talk, and we'll get into some NFL here. So recapping week 8, obviously probably the probably like biggest game of the week was obviously with the Pittsburgh Steelers getting a 28-24 victory over Baltimore in a Baltimore in a very closely contested game. Um,
As
I
always.
as always, and I tell you, I tell you, man, something that just really annoyed me for this, and it's some of these Steeler fans on social media. Like, hell, I kid you not, it was halftime, and we got people already saying, "Oh, Baltimore is clearly better. Oh, we should be thinking about getting a higher draft pick."
Who said that? I want
I,
names. Who said
I
that?
I like forget who, but I just like I'm just like, okay, so we played two bad quarters. Our seven, or no, sorry, at the time 6-0. We're like no worse than the second or third worst team in football at this
So
point.
after at halftime it was 17-7
Quarters.
Baltimore, which that's nothing.
Exactly. I'm just like, guys, there's still a ton of game left. Can we please calm the fuck down? And people were saying, like Harbaugh, out Coach Tomlin, and all of this stupid bullshit. I'm like, I hope we come back just so that we can just reveal just how freaking stupid and emotional that you people are. Hell, I'm a very emotional person when it comes to I'm like Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, Pitt, etc. But
What?
like, can we have some goddamn common sense? If anything, this game should be proof to any one of you Steeler fans they can beat anybody, even if they are down by 5 or 10 points. We're not going to win every game by 20 or 30 points. It's not going to happen. Baltimore is a very good football team. They are at the time they were 5-1 for a reason.
Yes.
Like there's maybe two or three better teams than them. So with that being said, I will say it was a very gutsy win for the Steelers because if we're being perfectly honest, they did not play a very good game at all. They just like forced they just forced four four key turnovers and two of like which Matt I feel like the um with the pick six with Spillane and the crucial INT by Alex Heiss
Yeah.
Alex Highsmith I feel like were the two biggest ones because it and and probably too with the fumble when Baltimore was like driving in the second quarter, I want to say, but those two were crucial because obviously with the two ints they both resulted in the Steelers and the Steelers scoring touchdowns. And now if you look at like Lamar Jackson, man, in 2 games, I think he's been sacked. I want to say like 9 times. He's turned it over, I believe, 8 times against them. So they definitely have a like book on him as far as that is concerned. But and I still yeah.
He was sacked 4 times for 16. He was sacked 4 times in the game.
Okay, yeah. And I tell you, the fact that we gave up over 250 yards rushing and somehow still won this game is pretty damn impressive. And
we only had 48 yards rushing.
Only had 48 yards rushing. I believe that we only had 221 of them total yards on top of that.
Compared to the Ravens 457, yeah.
But they scored when they needed to score, and they turned over Baltimore at the most crucial points. And I just feel, hell, if we only gave up half of those like rushing yards, we probably beat them by 2 or 3 scores. Like it's that damn close with these teams. Like, and I don't get some of these people who are saying, "Oh, are the Steelers really like for real?" I'm like, have you guys not been watching any Baltimore and Steelers games for the last 20 years? They're always close. Throw like records and shit out of the freaking window when these two teams play. It's a freaking rivalry game. These two teams know each other way too damn well. It's just throw it out because the only result that freaking matters is the W and the L. That is the only thing that really counts. As like Tomlin says, like style points are out of the the window.
The only thing that matters is the record after the game. And another thing was the penalties. Baltimore had 9 penalties for 110 yards compared to Pittsburgh's 3 for 30.
A lot of pass interference calls. Just anytime that the Steelers, it seemed like that they went deep, they were either getting a like holding call or a PI call. It just those corners of Baltimore are so aggressive, but they always put themselves in like harm's way, and and definitely against like Claypool and Deontay Johnson, they were causing problems, but at the same time, the Steelers really couldn't complete any of those passes. But I liked that they were taking shots. I just wish that we could run the ball better. Definitely time of possession really threw things off when like Baltimore is basically having the ball essentially for most of the game. But hey, a win is a win, and now the Steelers move on to a trap game, and it's definitely that when they go into Dallas and face arguably the worst team right now in the NFL, in the Dallas Cowboys. So 7-0 now. With this next like 3-game stretch, man, between Dallas, Cincinnati, and Jacksonville, there's no reason why this team should not be 10 and coming on.
I think more of the trap game, it to me is not the Cowboys. I think it's Cincinnati. That's the one that scares me.
They are no pushover. Like they
won last week. They won last week. They beat. Oh my God! Who they beat? Yes,
Tennessee. Yep, they beat them.
But that screwed me out of my survivor poll. Those jerks.
Yeah. But I will say though, for them, they're going to have a really hard time with our defensive line because as we have seen, that Cincinnati offensive line is horrible. Just like and no offense to like to Tennessee's defense, but they have zero pass rush. Whereas what the Steelers with like TJ Cam, I'm step on
But
to it, has had an unbelievable season. He won a AFC Defensive Player of the Week this
you have
week.
Dupree.
Hell like Robert Spillane has been playing out of his freaking mind, and as of like Sunday night, they acquired Avery Williamson, who goes from the 0-8 Jets to the 7-0 Pittsburgh Steelers. To be a fly on the wall when he found out that news.
A change of 15 games right there.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Like, I mean, like, hell, I would be jumping for freaking joy, because now it adds some much needed depth there, because I believe Gilbert went on IR this week, so obviously they needed some extra depth there. So yeah, that was the Steelers. What other games really caught your eye this week?
Let's see here. Okay, we talked about the Bengals and the Titans.
How about like Miami over the LA
yeah,
Rams?
I was thinking about what was I gonna do? Wanted to put that in the part one parlay I had. I was going for the moon, and I thought, nope, this the Tua, he's gonna get embarrassed, or he's just gonna put up a hell of a game, and he did the latter. I was like, I'm not touching that game, and had a good game. One touchdown pass, 12 for 22, only 93 yards, solid game. They won 28-17 over the Rams to go to 4-3, drop the Rams to 5-3.
Miami's defense just dominated LA. I think they forced like 4 turnovers in that game. So like that was really the key. I mean, like, other game that kind of surprised me was how close that like Tampa Bay and like New York was.
That was fun to watch.
If Daniel Jones wasn't so freaking awful, they probably win that game. And everyone is jumping on the Tampa Bay bandwagon. I'm like, yes, they are currently what, 6-2 now, I think.
Yes.
Or
6-2.
6-2, but there have been some games where they're pretty shaky still. I mean, how they lost against the Chicago Bears. I mean, and as you see them now, not a very good loss there. And for this week they face off with the Saints, so that should be interesting. But they're pretty inconsistent, although it's a very good Tampa Bay is a very good defense. I would say probably the second or third or
good against
the
run, only 70.4. So they're like they're like consistently inconsistent, but still good. Right. It's weird.
Mm-hmm. And obviously with the signing of Antonio Brown should be interesting.
Yeah. What else?
How about I'm looking at Chargers being the AFC version of the Atlanta Falcons. So they were up, I think, like 21-7 or
21-3 in the third. 10 minutes left in the third quarter. 24-3. 7 minutes and 30 left in the third. And
3-possession game. They lose against the Denver Broncos on the final play, and I like, the Chargers should not be this bad. Like, it's like, Herbert is a very good quarterback, but man, Anthony Lynn has just. I would be very surprised if he is going to be their head coach after this season, because I believe that they have lost 4 of the last 5 games or something like that, and they all had and I'm pretty sure that they had at least 10-point leads in every single one of those games. So it has to be really frustrating. Nowhere near as frustrating as is being a Dallas Cowboys fan. Like that's with former pick quarterback Ben DiNucci is their quarterback, which
when the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's the Nucci. Yeah, it sounds like he should be owning a pizza restaurant.
So that game was ugly. New England, they keep on like free falling, and with the Buffalo Bills, man, I am not a believer in them at all. Just that to me, when they play really good teams, they're nowhere near as good as when they are facing really bad teams. Although, as we saw 2 weeks ago, they struggled against a lowly New York Jets there. So that was not exactly impressive. Obviously, Kansas City, they are just rolling. Who they essentially had a like bye week as they faced the Jets there. And Matt, to me, the biggest upset of this week has to be, how do the Green Bay Packers lose against the Minnesota Vikings?
And I don't know.
Especially and yes, there was 0 fans, but at freaking Lambeau, and they lose against probably one of the like 5 or 6 worst teams in football right now. So that definitely not something to be thrilled about. And the Cleveland Browns are the Cleveland Browns. They lose 16-6 against the Vegas Raiders at home. A really crushing loss to me, as they are now 3 games behind the Steelers now, and they're
I still don't know how they only scored 6 points, but
well,
there was
pretty.
That's true.
Was pretty.
There was only one touchdown scored there that was horrible, but yeah.
So
it was 6-6 after 3. Yeah, well, it was windy, so yeah, it's understandable. But that's just not to be able to. I don't know. They couldn't. They only had. Hang on. Just looking at the running game here. 101 yards rushing, 66 from Hunt, 29 from Mayfield. So yeah, and Mayfield 12 for 25, 122, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Carr was 15 for 24 for 111 yards, one touchdown. And the rushing was 209 combined by Las Vegas there. So I guess that was the difference. They can run the ball better, given the circumstances of the weather. So there you go.
Yeah, so that was our NFL talk, and now we're going to move on to some wrestling talk. So I'll just briefly go over Dynamite. Basically,
because I didn't get a chance to watch it yet. I was going to watch it tomorrow, ish. So
basically, probably my favorite things, definitely anything involving Eddie Kingston and like John Moxley. They really sold that pay-per-view, and just like with their like freaking mic work, man, it's really got me interested in the second match. Yep. which I did not think was going to be possible, but hell, it's just and I would highly suggest you watch that segment, just because, man, like anything Eddie says, you believe 100%. Like just feels like so real. And man, I can't say enough about that. That was great. We also had a tag team match between MJF and like Wardlow versus Sami Guevara and Ortiz. A very good match. This was pretty serious here too. So like the last 2 weeks have been some pretty good build. You even saw like MJF and Jericho getting a little bit physical with one with each other. Jericho calling MJF soft, and MJF just getting really pissed off. So that was good. But man, the ongoing punchline of AEW though, the women's the women's division. So pretty much we just had a squash match with like Nyla Rose and some chick, and pretty much we vaguely saw our champion, who was just in the crowd there. I continue to ask myself, why did we make Hikaru Shida champion if she's never going to be on TV? Like it just,
yeah,
it's
been. It's like backstage segments,
and that's essentially,
in the crowd,
and that's essentially what it has been. So it just, they really need to get this figured out. I'm really hoping that they signed Allison Kay, who was announced by Tony Khan that her and Serena Deeb are going to be having a NWA women's title match on the Full Gear pre-show. So it just, that title is so much.
That title's booked so much. Well,
it's so much better.
Even though there's no story, it's still getting booked better.
Right, exactly. So
like what the hell?
I know that I just don't understand. And Matt, once again, anything involving with the Bucks is just, I just wanted them to go away at this point. I cannot believe how badly I have soured on these guys, because hell, if you would have asked me about these guys 365 days ago, I would have been saying no. These are clearly is one of the 2 or 3 best tag teams on the planet.
Yeah, if I would have told you, you would have this might be a strong word, but for the sake of conversation, hated the Bucks a year from now, you would probably be like,
I'm pretty much,
shut up, you are on the sauce, get off, you're on drugs, shut up, don't talk to me ever again.
Right.
But,
and it's just like, I'm not sure if like my whole opinion on them has changed, or it's just,
okay,
they have just been that freaking, or they just have been that bad.
I think it's the way they
have been.
I think it's the way they've been booked, that consistently how they've been booked, it's just like really, like I don't think they're not being booked interesting, and that's some of the problems across the board, but with like all these shows, too consistently, or they're being booked consistently inconsistent, or nothing to like really grab your attention, at least on an average way.
Well, into anytime they're cutting any sort of small or like long promos, they just can't. They cannot hold themselves. Like they look like they are like where they are like acting as like wrestlers, whereas like you look at at FTR, Eddie Kingston.
Compare Eddie Kingston. Yeah, that's more believable than, it's like me trying. It'd be like me trying to act. Like,
It just like it's such a huge d d d d d discrepancy, and whereas for like at least for like this week, Matt, Kenny probably had his best promo in quite some time. He's definitely him as a cleaner is definitely him at his best, in my opinion. And they had some pretty good sit downs. Tony, he was with like Kenny and JR. He was interviewing like a Hangman Page, which that has been really good. They are really portraying Hangman as being why he's constantly drinking more now is because he's like so like nervous about this match because he's like because like he's like one match away from like finally getting a title shot, so it's really affecting him psychologically. So I'm really intrigued by that. And probably the other thing that happened on the show that was pretty good. Hell, a I'm like Miro versus Trent. This was a very good match, really physical. Definitely the best I've seen of like Miro. I still hate this like freaking storyline with him and the Kip, but they had a pretty good match this week. So yeah, so that was Dynamite. So now we're going to be giving our AEW Full Gear predictions, Matt. So do you want to pull up that card and really?
I thought I have it. Hang on.
Like Wrestling Inc. should have them.
I had NXT pulled up, but I guess I'll change it. No. Let's see here. We have I got it. Let's start from the bottom up. We mentioned before the NWA Women's World Championship on the buy end. Serena Deeb versus Allison Kay. I think we're all in agreement it's going to be Serena.
Honestly, this like should be pretty good here. They
should be.
I wish that they could like flip this and the AEW women's title match because this thing is gonna be so much better. But yeah, I agree with you. Serena Deeb should go over here.
Yeah. Orange Cassidy versus John Silver.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why Orange Cassidy won't be going over here. John Silver is like rarely in NM singles, and up until this point, he's been mainly involved in like tag team matches. So yeah, Orange Cassidy. I would
say Cassidy, even though I don't care. But Cassidy, Chris Jericho versus MJF. If MJF wins, he joins Inner Circle.
I don't see any scenario where MJF, where like he doesn't win. If like he doesn't, then this will have felt like a giant waste of all of our times. I definitely think that this is going to be beginning to like start the eventual babyface turn from Jericho, because I'm fully expecting MJF to somehow take control of the Inner Circle and slowly turn everyone against Chris Jericho.
Yeah, I'll get MJF. Yeah, he said in that town hall he's gonna do anything to win. Yep. So foreshadowing there. In my eyes, that's a key phrase. Something's gonna happen. So I think the story, it would fall flat if Jericho wins. Where you go from? What's the point? So yeah,
especially too if he's putting over Orange Cassidy, then why in the hell would he not be putting over MJF, who's a way bigger guy than Orange Cassidy will ever be? So
yes, the elite deletion Hardy versus Sammy Guevara.
Yeah, I'll be very surprised if like Matt does, and when this kind of feels like that's kind of how it should happen. I mean, and at least with this, it's going to be completely cinematic. So it should be safe. I'm like hopefully, but
one would assume.
Yeah, so I'm going with a Matt there.
I go with Matt. I mean, I can kind of see Sammy possibly winning if Hardy wants to put him over, but my betting on it's like 99% sure it's Hardy.
It's his match, so you would think so.
but you would think so, but you never know.
Yeah.
But and then we had the tournament finals: Omega versus Hangman Page. Winner goes on for a future AEW World Title shot.
Yeah. I got like Kenny here. I definitely feel like with the Bucks, they'll probably screw over Hangman in some way, kind of to get their revenge on him, because if you recall, they were the ones who cost Matt and like Nick their title shot on a few months ago. So I definitely feel that's probably where they are going here. But this should probably be like match of the night here, in my opinion here, or pretty close to it.
Yeah. I'll go with Omega on this one. Yeah, I don't. It seems the most sense.
Well, they're definitely setting up him versus Moxley, and I feel like it's the only thing that, in my opinion, makes any sense.
Yeah. Then we got the AEW World Tag Team Championships, FTR versus the Young Bucks, and if the Young Bucks lose, they will never challenge for the tag titles again, and Tully Blanchard is banned from ringside.
Well, like that's new, but okay. I'll be very surprised if FTR drops the titles here. Bucks, I just don't think it's the right time. And man, why they threw out this stipulation is still stupid as hell. Like, just
somebody who brought it up, was it Cornette? One of those, like thinking about, and logically, why can't, like, think if FTR was out there, why can't they just like purposely disqualify themselves and like cost the Bucks to like hit the Bucks with a chair, and in typical wrestling fashion, nobody disputes it. Like, nobody comes out and goes, hey, you can't do that. FTR loses but retains.
Yeah,
and Young Bucks, like, I mean, like, logically, if you think of it that way with this stipulation, they can do that in a hill way, but nobody wants to do that, because then that's a terrible match.
I mean, like, but I obviously
that's when you like, that's one of those points when you're like, if you get somebody who doesn't watch regularly or is not a fan, and they're watching, and they like, not like us, and they sit there and they go, why can't they just disqualify themselves? You say they won't lose the titles. Like somebody who's like not in it could say that and be like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
and I definitely think that only works to with FTR being heels, because obviously if they were like reversed, it wouldn't make any sense. But also to man,
but who the hell's the heels?
Right. But to
who am I supposed to hate?
I mean, like, for us, I mean, it's pretty damn obvious.
Yeah, but like
freaking Bucks, but
they're both doing they're both doing like heelish things.
I know, just it's stupid.
And then apparently there's news I just saw before we went on the air that the Bucks, somebody
Jackson
was hurt apparently.
Yeah, so apparently he has a partially torn MCL, and apparently there's something wrong with his ACL too. I'm not sure about that, but
so
with that being said, if that's the case, then I can't imagine that they're be putting the titles on them just because, like, it just.
Why would you your champion? Why would you want to make your champions immediately hurt and then half of them can't compete?
Right. So I'm fully expecting FTR to be going over here, and they have only held those titles, I think, for what, 3 months now. So
something like that.
Yeah, I don't see them dropping those titles. And to me, what the Bucks, they are like nowhere near over enough right now to even think about getting those tag titles taken off of FTR. So they will be pulling a Cody here, and they will never be able to challenge for the tag titles, which is making me think that they're definitely are going to be having like a 6-man titles coming soon. Because too, and I just thought about this. Taz, he was cutting a promo on Dynamite this week, and he was complaining why like his guys, and he's also has been trying to find a third guy for him, Team Taz. I think that's also more foreshadowing that they're going to be bringing in 6-man tag titles at some point. So definitely, I think that's going to be in play as well there. So yeah, there's that. Okay, Matt, what's the next match?
We also have the AEW TNT Championship, Cody versus Darby Allin.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth on this. I'm going to stick with Cody right now just because he just won the title. And yeah, they have been building up on Allin for a few weeks, but they have given me no reason why they would put Darby Allin over here. So I'm going to stick with Cody. Anyways,
who's won so far? Is it Cody's being Darby?
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, I think they tied with their first match.
I think they went to a draw. Yeah.
Tied with the first match.
It's gonna be different. I want to say Darby, just out of pure. I just have that feeling. It could go either way, but I don't know.
And by the way, speaking of Cody, he finally has his last name back now.
Yes.
So if you guys haven't heard, WWE dropped their copyright claim on the name Cody Rhodes. So now Cody, he can pretty much use his last name whenever, but apparently Cody has said he isn't going to be really using his last name just because he likes his current gimmick as the American Nightmare Cody, and so it's basically him just for him to actually have, I guess.
He's allowed to use it on TV.
Yeah.
So when we move on to the AEW Women's World Championship, Akira Shida versus Nyla Rose with Vicky Guerrero.
Yeah.
John, wake up.
Nyla, I think, is going to win here. Shida has been a horrible champion.
Because they have not booked her do nothing.
Do not get me wrong about her. She's a really good wrestler, but she has been booked horribly as champion. She has virtually has not done a damn thing with that title. They really should have never have taken that off of Nyla. So they need to build some storylines, bring in some freaking women who are TV ready, who can carry a division, and they just don't have that person right now. So yeah.
And then finally we got the main event for the AEW World Championship in an I Quit match: Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston.
Yeah, I cannot wait for this year. These two are gonna beat the ever living shit out of each other here. That there's going to be weapons, there's going to be blood, there's just it's gonna be chaos, and I cannot I cannot wait. Obviously Moxley, he should be going over here. This has been a pretty fun short term thing with him and Eddie Kingston. So I am really looking forward for this. How about you, man?
Yeah, this is pretty much a simple best build I think on the show.
Easily.
Eddie is one. I've never followed him before AEW, but he's really won me over. Obviously, just the promo skills are pretty much second to none on this show.
Which, like, by the way,
few exceptions.
Yeah. Which, like, by the way, I think they might be doing him versus Pac when he comes back, which I believe he should be back on TV hopefully by like next week, because he had a like video package this week where that was pretty damn cool this week. So I'm hoping we can finally see him more regularly on TV, because this show has really missed him to be perfectly honest here.
Yep. So that is Full Gear preview, and that's AEW. And you want to move on to NXT?
NXT, sir.
Yes. So we open up the show. We had Ember Moon versus Dakota Kai, and
Were you shocked that she lost here? And did
yes,
it really make any sense to you that she lost here?
No, I was confused that she did lose just coming back.
Yeah,
because I think Dakota Kai could lose and it's all right. I know they want to keep it. Yeah,
I just didn't quite understand that because like she has been essentially losing every single feud that she has been in, and you bring in Ember, who's completely fresh and completely new, and when the first like major feud that she's in and she's losing already, I just didn't like that. Match was good, but it's just I just didn't understand.
Yeah, I remember I just kind of just watched. I went, what?
Why? Yeah, what? Yeah, like why? Yeah,
I was shocked. I wasn't expecting that. Next match we got Cameron Grimes versus Kushida. Match was good until the very end when Cameron Grimes got scared of the Indian ref. I don't know why I had to say Indian ref, but the one was used in the Halloween match, and that was as a zombie, and he came down and he just ran around the ring like, I'm like,
I love this because it made Cameron Grimes look like a complete asshat, in which I approve of this booking, and like my boy Kushida, he gets a like win here. I'm hoping that they eventually do him versus Johnny next. I would really like to see that. Hopefully at next takeover. So yeah. And are you okay there, buddy? Everything right there? Are you in pain?
Boy. I was just, it was good until the end. It was hokey. Like, Cameron Grimes, that's the character to be like that, cocky, but crap his pants when he has to come in any actual real danger. But this was too over. It was just.
This might be the actual like the first time I've seen you act like this on NXT. Normally with like Dynamite that you're being this over.
I try to put in perspective and be fair. There's no defending. I can't like defend this in any shape or form. The ending of the match. The match itself, up to that point, was fine. It was the ending of just like
it was perfect. It was perfect because it buried Cameron Grimes, who sucks. He sucks. Okay, he's trash. So
okay, let's move on. That was good. I was out of the camera and I could still talk. I should do that. I could fall asleep. We got
was it Drake and
Wait, well, before that we had Io Shirai. We had Io Shirai cutting a promo on Rhea, challenging Rhea again. Which I felt that was inevitable. That was who they were slowly, you could tell they were building that again.
Yeah, I think that's probably happening at their next takeover, I think it's rumored that's happening in December. So
yeah. Or maybe they do it on the maybe not.
I'm kind of hoping that they push that back to a takeover there. So
that's true. It still would be.
That's my fault. Or that's my thing. Yeah.
Then we go Drake Maverick and Killian Dane versus Ever Rise as they're fighting. You go split screen. And there is a white car moving into the parking lot in the back, and Pat McAfee, Lorcan, Birch, and Pete Dunne hop out. And,
jacked.
Pete Dunne, oh my god! And this whole from the beginning of this segment to the end for this group was phenomenal. They come up, and Pat McAfee just like. Grabs the camera from the camera guy and just walks out, and then they just interfere in the match, beat up too. Meanwhile, Pat McAfee has the camera filming it and commenting, and he does I forget who's doing the kicks, and he was doing the camera shake too. I was like, yes, Pat.
Oh, God. Yeah,
Pat knows. It was I popped for that, and then.
Yeah, man. I recall texting you. I was like, I feel bad for ever shitting on this guy when
he was here first.
When
you're wrong, you're wrong.
When you're wrong, you're wrong. And man, this guy is a natural born professional wrestler. Just the charisma, his cockiness, just his athleticism and everything. He has made Lorcan Perch more important than they have been, and adding Pete Dunne was a stroke of freaking genius because he is essentially a like silent killer in this group. And I loved in this whole thing how they tied in him hating the Undisputed Era when Roderick Strong turned on him and joined them, and as I am told you, Matt, this has to be heading to a like War Games here.
One would think.
Makes no other sense. I mean, we need to have a like War Games match with these 8 here. I'm really hoping that is where they are going. But the question is, though, where in the hell are they going to have that at? Because obviously, it's not going to be happening at the Capitol Wrestling Center. So, do they have it at like Amway, or do they have it at some other venue? So I'm very interested to see.
I wouldn't. I can see. I don't know how plausible this is. How they have maybe the rest of the takeover at CWC, but then they cut to have that match at the Amway Center. That's probably expensive to have 2 shows out of one place, or just have the whole thing just at the Amway Center.
Takeover there too, though. So it's like you would think, hey, like it's a pretty important match, and I wouldn't see why they couldn't do that since, they're under the same company. You're right.
Well, yeah, but I think it's
Yeah.
what are you saying? Having it all at one on the same venue, or
like separate venues. It's not like that.
yeah, in the same company. But I think
Yeah.
I think this resources, and I think it's probably more. I think money wise, I think
I'm sure. Yeah.
It's not. I think if you're going to just do it all in one same thing, and you don't have to have two separate crews running. That's what I would do. But then they did like we're going to retire the Undisputed Era. We're going to do like this banner raising thing, and Pat McAfee went through like the whole history of Undisputed Era with pictures on the back, and going through. He tied in, putting them over. They were dominant, and then brought up that that's all NXT was doing, just putting them over, and nobody else had a chance. Tied in Lorcan and Burt's, and they didn't have opportunities to make their names for him. They were so good, but it was all Undisputed Era. And like you said, you had the Pete Dunne issue with Roderick Strong costing him their match in the Dusty Road Classic way back several years back. So that whole segment, they tied it all together, and which was great. And then leaving, they went back to the car, and Killian Dane attacked Pat McAfee, obviously because they interfered in the match, but the numbers were too strong. And what was it? Pete Dunne? Was it Pete Dunne? Beat it's like
Killian Dane.
Yeah, put him in the door and kicked the door, and
yeah.
I put McAfee goes that's a little too much, but we'll talk about it. I like what you did, but I don't know. We'll talk about it later. And then they drive off, and
you all suck.
Yeah, because we're the greatest. Well, you suck. Cheers, and drives off. I love that phrase. We're the greatest. You suck. Cheers, and drives off.
I cannot wait to see the eventual confrontation between him and Adam Cole again. Just like those two have such.
Now you want to see it. Yeah.
Now you want to see it, and now we have like honestly, Matt, Pat has like really revived on Adam Cole ever since he lost his title. Like he's given him a purpose, and I can't really complain or bitch about this. And I will say this, because of Pat, he has single-handedly got me finally interested back in NXT, which I mean, and I'm not saying that the shows have been off. It's just like I haven't been emotional.
It's a Roman Reigns effect.
Definitely that. Like it's just they have added a sprinkle of sports entertainment into this, and it's
sprinkle of greatness.
It's just like it's
almost a must see. You want to see what happens.
I want to see every single segment with him in it, and that's all. I mean, I can't complain about that.
This group, Pat McAfee has this. I want to make this comparison real quick. The MVP role. He can wrestle. He's good, even though he's greener compared to MVP. But he can talk and get the rest of. They can get the rest of the group over, the characters and people, individuals over. That type of role, and I think it's perfect because him on the microphone, both of them on the microphone are just great promos. But specifically, if you go, NXT. Entertaining as all hell. It's a great group. It's the best thing going on NXT. Excuse me, right now. I mean, they got lightning in the bottle here, and it's nothing with these guys is great.
They are easily by far are the two best things on the show, but something that I think has to be asked of Matt. We need to get something decided about Finn Balor, because he's been essentially off of TV for almost 2 months now. close to it.
I don't,
Pretty damn close to it. So it's like,
no.
hey, are we going to? Is he going to be champion? Like, I think that needs to be.
I think they're trying to hold out as much as they can because they don't want to just do another. That's come up with another way to come up with find another title and then like another whoop-de-doo, we're gonna strip Finn and then I think they just don't want to do it this time. They don't want back to back basically. Let's find another match to qualify to do this new thing that is good, but I don't know. I think they're just trying to do as much as they can wait and just do other stuff in the meantime. I mean, I don't blame them. Like, it's just like, it would just get old. Like, oh, here's another. It is what it is. What it is. Yeah, I want you to go off a little bit here. Gargano and Scream.
Sucks, man. Like, it's so bad right now. Like, I just like Johnny as his comedy and as a heel, I'm just not a fan of. It's way too corny. It's way too cheesy for me. Yeah.
There's elements of I know what they're going for, and then it's one of those things. It's not. In theory, it should work, but in practicality, I don't think it's working as well as it should.
No. Like, and I have no idea where they're going with him in this whole Scream.
It's probably
character.
Indy Hartwell. I want to say it's Indy, but then I think was she tested for, or at least in quarantine?
She might be. I could also see. I could also
delaying.
I could also see that being Austin Theory too. That would not surprise.
That's probably I first forgot. That's probably Austin.
So
you know what? Yeah, I think there was probably Indy with in the Candice match. That's probably Austin. I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and is like that next with Tony Storm.
Yeah, it was Shotzi Blackheart versus Tony Thick Storm.
Yeah.
I said 10 C's there.
Yeah, that's fine. Like this whole freaking tank thing, you would think that she had her freaking child taken from her or killed. It's a freaking tank.
I think they dropped a little tidbit.
Yeah.
Of the. What was it? The brother went in the military and stuff, so it has that sentimental value. So I think that's why they said that during the match. But yeah, I do agree with you. This, you know what this reminded me of, not a sick way, in a similar fashion to me, was the arcade machine. Like it's an arcade machine.
Yeah. Honestly,
like fighting over like. That's what it struck like a chord with me. Like
it just like I just have no desire to see this, and like that was what distracted her. I'm just like yeah, I understand you would be pissed, but you would think like that she like got freaking shot or something.
She killed a baby or something.
Right. I'm just like it's a tank. Like it's a tank. And like I get it, it has sentimental value, but just like
the only other person who probably liked that segment was Robert Stone.
Yeah. Right. It's just like
good. But the match itself,
was fine.
Enjoyed the match. Shotzi the spot on the apron I think hurt Shotzi more than Tony. Yes. I swear to God, Shotzi is a magnet for apron spots.
It's amazing that she hasn't really hurt herself yet.
Yeah,
it really is.
I missed this. I must have how did I miss this? I think I paused it because I had to go do something. It was the Jake Atlas and Fantasma in the parking lot.
Yeah, so looks like they're still doing that. Interested to see where that's going there. I'm glad that they're finally using Jake more because because he had been pretty much in like a limbo for quite some time. But
yeah,
we'll see where that goes. So.
Yeah. Then we're putting over one of these, I guess, new up and comers, Austin Gray. They had another live version of Thatcher's Thatchaz Cat Can doing the
Mr. Charisma Vacuum, as I call him.
Yeah, I saw that a lot more this time. But they Austin Gray used to be Anthony Green. At the end of this segment, comes and attacks him because he was, I think, used as one of these
extras,
props, if you will.
Yeah.
So they're putting, I guess they like him. They're bringing him up to go against Thatcher. So that's that. Xia Lee's backstage with Mackenzie Mitchell.
I read a story about her in that apparently why she is getting featured so much more now, Matt, is because apparently she was supposed to be in some like amateur kickboxing fight, and basically WWE got like wind about it, and they essentially pulled her from that fight, and she was apparently not too happy, and she went directly at like Triple H and just like voiced just like how frustrated and pissed off that she was, and that's been kind of the backstory as to why she's been on TV more.
Well, she's good. I'm not mad at she's on TV. I'm interested to see where the storyline's going, but she asked to challenge Raquel Gonzalez next week. Says Raquel dishonored her, so she has to challenge her now. And Rigo goes, "That's what you wish. I'll do it." So that's next week. There's the thing. Rhea responding to Io. Says she wants to end 2020 the way she ended 2019 as NXT Women's Champion. Matches revealed for next week. We have Breezango in their tag team rematch against Orkin and Birch. I'm excited for that, just for that group segment. See where that goes. And Johnny Gargano puts his title on the line against somebody yet to be named. So there's that. Then we get the main event, Tommaso Ciampa versus the Velveteen Dream, with Ciampa getting the win.
As he should.
Yes. He pretty much, with exceptions, pretty much was just kicking the crap out of Dream.
Yeah, and I enjoyed every single second about that. So obviously he wins. He goes over strongly. I don't think there's really any much more to add.
And enjoy what I saw. It was good.
Just like there wasn't any storylines or anything that really came out of this, which would have liked to have seen something like, hey, we're teasing this or kind of showing you, hey, this is kind of where we are going to be going. We didn't get any of that, so I was like, all right. So I have like no reason to give a single crap about that, but like nonetheless, a very good match. So that was NXT, and a very good show. Pat McAfee and Adam Cole and all of them are freaking awesome now. So yeah. So Matt, I believe that should probably cap off this episode of the podcast.
SmackDown real quick. Specifically the Reigns and Uso.
No, we talked about that last week.
Did we?
Yes. Last Saturday. Remember?
Yeah, you say I'm thrown off because
or like Friday. Yeah.
That's right. I was thrown off because of this week because I'm used to talking about SmackDown, and that's true. And then Raw, basically, the Fiend is the only good thing on the show, consistently. So yeah, that wraps it up. I'm sorry.
Yep. Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, good. I want to talk about it again. It was so good, damn it. No, that pretty much wrapped it up. That's pretty big stuff that's happened. Unfortunately, since we recorded, we couldn't talk about The Mandalorian, but I know That would probably be on next week, depending on the scheduled recording. Probably have 2 episodes to kind of talk through, so that's gonna be fun. Yeah, more football next week. Probably election news and all that stuff again next week as well. Yeah. So again, that's episode 65.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks everybody for watching. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. You know the shtick. Shtick. There we go. So for John, Aaron top, I'm Matt. Thanks for watching again, and we'll see you next time.